So let's kick off with the biggest round of the week. Let's talk about Caracol, producer of large-scale additive manufacturing solution, raising $40 million in Series B round from Omnes Capital, Move Capital, Fund 1, CDP Venture Capital, Primo, Eureka, and Neva SGR. So very interesting deal for a number of reasons, I would say. Let me kick it off like really quickly, which is the most obvious thing, which is the fact that as we were discussing before, Nick, so we were saying how, you know, some Italian companies, they really need to jump sort of the border and go raise to more Europe with more European player. This is a perfect case study, I would say. Series B to pan-European investors, very liquid, very focused on deep tech. So Omnes and Move, both of them are these kind of companies, and this is a great round, I would say, and definitely shows how like an Italian led and a company that started in Italy can really like goes abroad, beyond the boundaries. Actually, this is my first take. What was your take?
I agree with you 100%. I think one of the limits we have is to think about the companies as Italian or French or German. So that's true when they start, but there is a point when we need to think about them as European, at the very least.
I agree.
Because we need to see the European market in a homogeneous way, and think that there are Series B, Series C investors out there that they see the economy as an European one. So very, very good, as you mentioned, to see these type of investors getting together into a company that's growing, is doing well.
And to be honest, the early a company can do that from the early stage, the better for the health and the future of the company, I would say. I mean, that's really the direction. And, it's an additional layer for fundraise, because Series B and C in the US is smoothless. It's very smooth. You have like a lot of offer. Here you really need to fill the language gap and culture gap, which is a thing, and then go beyond that. But absolutely doable, I would say. Let me also give some please. Yeah. Just wanted to give some context on the investors, unless Nick, you have something else to add. Yeah, let's do that. So
I just wanted to mention another thing, but please.
Yeah, I mean, just a few, just quick context on the investor. Omnes, Paris-based PE and venture capital platform with 6 million euro under management, actually closer to 7 billion, sorry, not million, and very technical, very focused on deep tech. So very fitting investor base for Caracol. And Move Capital is part of a bigger financial service firm, also based in France, called the Kepler Chevreux, which essentially launched this Move Capital Fund 1 to invest in software, AI-driven processes, and basically focusing on growth and scaling. So they co-led the round, so it's a good example of two big player, technical player leading like a round, and then of course all the other investors joined, starting from CDP, Neva, and then of course you guys. So that's pretty cool.
Well, indeed. What I wanted to mention is that this is interesting from my point of view also, because this is not your average new sales agent startup with AI to kind of help some kind of personal role in the company. This is about advanced manufacturing. So Caracol is producing industrial scale robots for advanced manufacturing and additive manufacturing. And this is super interesting because there is a lot of conversation around, manufacturing the future of production, of producing atoms, working with atoms in Europe, in the US as well, of course. So I find this round super interesting in this, parallel world where AI is important, but it's not everything that's, investors are thinking about.
Yeah, and I was also checking. I always like to check sort of what is happening with revenues and growth and of these companies. And one thing that really stood out to me was really like the kind of feedback that they have as a company in terms of their product. Because 3D printing has been around, large scale 3D printing. Some people believe it or some people don't. It's still like not a mainstream thing, but checking out on the pilots. They have very solid ROI, sort of customer ROI example, I would say. So they have like a pilot project with Ferretti Group for marine parts, and they mentioned that there is like a 70% cost saving on parts. So massive signal, I would say, because that's probably one of the most sensitive way and I would say direct and impactful way to sell something like additive manufacturing. I mean, parts in the marine space has always been, of course, an issue, and that's where probably it pioneered, if I'm not mistaken, and it's working extremely well. And since also the fact they're moving from polymer to actually metal, so it's not just, and that's a big deal, I would say. So that was one of the things that really popped out at the end. And yeah.
Thinking about software and AI, I still love the idea that we have great entrepreneurial opportunities in the manufacturing space. So we eat atoms, we live into atoms, we use atoms, not bits. So atoms are not going away anytime soon.
Yeah, it's no coincidence that one of those funds that led one of these rounds was called Real Tech Fund. So it's crazy how now we need to specify. Tech is not just bits and digits, but it's real stuff. I agree. It's atoms.
Talking about atoms, I think that the new fund from last week, again, is in the space, right?
Yeah. No, that's true. All right. Let's move to another interesting news about a new fund kind of kicking in the Italian ecosystem. Maia, of course, Maia Ventures raising a total of 55 million to invest basically in food and agri-food tech. So very counter-cyclical. Given the current state of the different fundraisers happening and the different companies. So of course they have an AI part because that's where a lot of people are building, but still they're like taking positions in different kind of like food tech technologies that are not like necessarily like sort of in the hype, I would say. So very interesting. It's a big deal because it's a big fund. CDP is part of the investor LPs. And together with some very interesting family offices in the food space. So yeah, very interesting. Kudos to the team. Very, very looking forward to see what they're doing. They already deployed over 6 different investments. So yeah, things are moving in that space.
Yeah, super happy to see another fund on the market. So, well, good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Nick. What I want, like, just for like some final notes, I will always check your tracker, and we are kind of getting as close as possible to last year, I would say, in terms of fundraise. What's your feel so far? I mean, we're end of the year. What is it? Is it gonna like really track with last year? Do you expect like some sudden moves? I don't know. I'm feeling pretty, tracking. We're in a tracking stage. I would feel.
Yeah, we're still somewhat stuck with that, more or less 1 billion-ish yearly deployment. I don't know if this year we will see any other very relevant rounds. I hope we will start seeing some of them next year in terms of announcements. But still, I'm happy to be proven wrong by some outlier between November and December. I think we need at least one to match last year.
I'm always curious if there is a reason, because we've seen spikes, like end of the year spikes, but we've also seen beginning of the year spikes. So is there a preference for raising at the end of the year toward the beginning of the year? It's just a randomization of outcomes. What is your experience there? We've seen both. So
Well, I don't know, but I think one of the key aspects to take into account is that we see and I record the announcements, not the actual deals. Sometimes you announce right after the deal, sometimes it takes months. So we are seeing announcement when it is convenient to announce them more than close or far away from when the deal happens. So I expect to see stuff coming out in December, in November, because these, during the summer, right after the summer, there are closings, there are, deals that you complete. And I expect to see things in January for deals that close between November and December. And then you do not announce a deal on the 22nd of December. Usually you wait for New Year when people, is again back and thinking about what's going on instead of thinking about Christmas break. So it really depends. So there's probably some concentration in certain moments of the year just because it's a good moment to announce, not to do the deal.
Awesome. All right. Nick, thank you so much for joining. Super insightful as always. And I'll see you next week. Let's see what moves and what awaits us for the last part of the year.
Exactly. Thank you, Jack. Take care.